This movie tells a story of two young religious women who are drawn into a game of cat and mouse in the house of a strange man. This movie is teased as a twisty horror thriller, and while there are attempts to subvert the audience's expectations, the plot beats are rarely subversive or shocking as you might expect. The movie is decent in the first half, but there's a lack of dread when it comes to the more graphic horror elements. In addition to that, the film's conclusion is eye-rolling and not as clever as it thinks it is. The movie's first half is mostly just a lengthy conversation between this off-putting old man and these two young women, who are initially trying to engage with him earnestly. The movie sets up an intriguing mystery with Mr. Reed's puzzling behavior. He's essentially another old white man hellbent on playing God, and his conversations and interactions with the two women are written to be uncomfortably tense. It's basically a game of verbal cat and mouse, and the shifting power dynamics between the characters are decent. Unfortunately, after the quite interesting first half, the movie collapses under the weight of its own anticipation. Its endgame is preposterous, and ultimately limp. There is precious little gore, and far too few things that go bump in the night. This is a movie that's almost explicitly conversational. The banter is initially provocative and stimulating. It escalates from awkward inquisitions to life-or-death questions. Unfortunately, the film tries to veer into horror territories only to remain distractingly talkative. The movie continues pressing forward with Mr. Reed's insistence on answering questions with another question, which starts wearing his usage thin. The film keeps talking at us and in circles instead of letting its horror surge forward as words start losing their impact. Hugh Grant exemplifies his talents through dialogue alone. The problem becomes how long the film keeps this banter going and how wordiness overrides what should be a meaner third act. Like Mr. Reed, the movie exposes itself as hollow the more it rambles about whatever's on the antagonist's mind. The verbose ideological ideas explored at length eventually aren't all that profound or stimulating. The point made is facile and legitimately acknowledged by the three major religions cited here as a requirement for faith and its practice. This feels like a strange consequence of secularization, relearning the old lessons as if we discovered them ourselves. The movie has a few surprises in store, but those moments are fleeting and undermined by its superficial societal and religious observations. The script isn't particularly impressive, belief or disbelief becomes a moot question by the film's end, and logic stumbles the further the movie corners their characters. The revelations are rather cop-outs in the dullest ways possible. The movie pursues ambiguity to the bitter end, but a mundane version of it that borders on the insulting. The movie's nihilism also has severe consequences for its character development. Not much is told about the personal backgrounds of any of the characters in the movie. There's no one in the film that we are supposed to truly like, making it difficult to care about the stakes of the conflict. The performance in general is good. Hugh Grant is quite masterful at playing a villain who is both charming and sleazy. Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East give worthy performances as the two contrasting missionaries, although viewers still won't feel like they really know Sister Barnes and Sister Paxton by the end of the movie. A few plot holes are revealed early on in this movie, which undercuts the premise that Mr. Reed is supposed to be a criminal mastermind. A true mastermind would not make the obvious mistakes that Mr. Reed makes in luring these two missionaries into his trap. Overall, it's not worth to watch this in theaters, just wait on your streaming service.